going to bring our winter training arc week of Rocky reviews to a close with 2006 Rocky Balboa, written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. So even though I quite enjoy Rocky 5, and I know there's a lot of us out there that do like it, it was seen as a failure at the time, and it was also made as sort of a closing chapter to the Rocky character, and as a closing chapter, it works well enough, I think, but Rocky Balboa is truly a swan song to this character in a way that I don't think Rocky 5 ever really could have been. But there was a significant gap of time, about 16 years from 1990 to 2006, before we got another Rocky movie, and I remember even at the time of this movie coming out, I remember there was a lot of people kind of poking fun at the idea of Sylvester Stallone being about 60 years old and going to be in a boxing match. And it's like, why are we taking this seriously? And at the time, too, I don't think Sylvester Stallone was at the best point in his career. And so, in a way, this movie's existence kind of mirrors the original Rocky and kind of works as a very good bookend to the franchise, because nobody really gave Stallone a chance before the first Rocky movie came out, and he worked like hell to just get it created and get it made and to actually be able to play the lead character. And when Rocky Balboa came out, people were kind of rolling their eyes of like, oh, he's going back to the well. He doesn't know what else to do. He's going to be this old man fighting. And that is, ironically, kind of what the movie is about. It's about a guy that is past his prime, trying to figure out what to do with his life and what value he still holds. And so I kind of like how Rocky as a character really does mirror Sylvester Stallone's real life to some degree, where he's at this action pinnacle in the 80s with like Rocky 3 and 4, the humble beginnings of the original, and the reflection, nostalgia, but also proving that there is still value in this man, is still value in this character in this movie, Rocky Balboa. So I really love this movie. I think this is a great film. I'm not sure exactly what the general consensus is. I think most people like it, but I really do think this is probably the best film other than the original. But it does require the original in order to appreciate it. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because the movie, by its nature, cannot exist on its own. It can't stand on its own. It really has to have context of the original film. Not as much context of like the entire franchise, but if you watched Rocky 1, you could probably watch Rocky Balboa after that and still get a good understanding of what's going on. You're missing little pieces and details along the way, but I think that these two films really work together in unison. And I think that if you are a massive fan of the original Rocky movie, this one does not feel like a cash grab. It doesn't feel like it's there just for the sake of it. It feels like there really is a story to tell, and it feels like Sylvester Stallone is trying to convey a lot of emotion and a lot of heart in this movie that is very similar to the original, but different in the sense that Rocky is in a different point of his life. And I really like that idea where you see this guy in his 20s, maybe like early 30s in the first Rocky film, and now you're seeing a guy that's approaching 60, and all of the things that have happened in between, what they mean to him, and where he could still potentially go. And it's interesting to look at the time period that this movie came out too, because nowadays it's very popular, it's very trendy to continue to do the legacy sequel, to bring old characters and to bring old actors back and put them into their most famous roles once again. We see this time and time again, and it's a very, very popular thing now. But again, this was 2006, so it wasn't as trendy or popular then. And this movie actually really stood out at the time for doing something like this, for bringing a character that we hadn't seen for 16 years back and doing a legitimate movie about him. Similar to the original, this movie takes itself seriously. It's not as bombastic as the Rocky sequels are. It's very similar in tone, but it does have a distinct style that is more modern. It's not filmed like a 70s movie. It's filmed very much like a movie that came out in 2006. For better or for worse, I think for the most part, the movie looks really good. There are some kind of editing issues I feel happen in the movie, especially with the final fight at the end. It's just chopped up and edited very, very quickly. Like there's so many shots and it continuously cuts every couple of seconds, and it kind of is a little bit irritating to watch. But as far as the more dramatic moments and the scenes of reflection, or the scenes of Rocky thinking about his life and what has brought him to this point, I think all of that is executed really well. And I also think that this movie has perhaps the greatest motivational monologue of any movie ever. But let me go in order. So starting catching up with Rocky in this film, immediately we are hit in the heart with the revelation that Adrian has passed away from cancer and Rocky is visiting her gravesite. So Rocky is now left without the person that meant the most to him, that kept him going this entire franchise. Whenever there was a significant issue at hand, Adrian was always there to tell him the truth, not sugarcoat anything, get him to be able to confide in her and tell her the truth about things. Like, she was his rock. She was Rocky's rock. And now she's gone. And so how does he move forward from that? He's still living in Philadelphia. Doesn't look like he's managed to recover a lot of wealth or anything like that, but he is running a restaurant now that he is, of course, named after Adrian. And it's sort of like a gimmicky thing to, people come in and they want to see Rocky. They want to hear about Rocky's stories of the past and stuff. And that's kind of what he's doing there. It seems like he enjoys it, but it's just not something that he's super passionate about, but he likes helping people. He's always offering people free meals, just that good, kind-hearted nature of the character that we're used to seeing. What I really like about the first part of the movie is all of the moments that he takes looking back at things of his past. And this is something that even me in my 30s, this is something that I've done where, I've driven around the streets of my town and stopped and looked at a house that's no longer there, that's been torn down or something, and thinking about the times that I've had with friends or, whoever, or just remembering specific moments of my life. And that's what Rocky is doing in the beginning. Goes to the ice rink that's torn down, the pet shop that's no longer open, all of these memories of Adrian that he's feeling. And I also really like, there is a brief scene where Paulie kind of has some really great character growth where he's seeing Rocky reminisce about Adrian, and he wants to leave and Rocky wants to stand there and think about the past a little bit more. And for Paulie, it's a lot tougher to think about Adrian because he admits how terribly he treated her. He's like, you treated her well, I treated her like crap, I don't want to remember this. And from the perspective of this aged drunkard, like, that's probably the most amount of emotion that you're ever really going to get out of him. Just this admission of like, it hurts me so much to think about Adrian because I remember how badly I treated her. And if there's any type of character growth for Paulie, as minimal as that, just that slight admission, that's still pretty good. So one interesting addition to this movie is the girl named Marie, who was actually a character from the first movie that was this young teenage girl that Rocky was trying to warn about hanging out with the wrong crowd and what that could mean in the future, and she just told him to F off. Well, now she's not had the best life, but also not the worst life ever, but she's working as a bartender, and Rocky kind of takes her and her son under his wing a little bit and decides that he wants to help them out for no other reason than just being a genuinely good person. Some people have said that there's romantic tension going on between the characters, but I think that's very, very minimal. I think that mostly what it is Rocky trying to do something good and this girl just not really understanding why he's doing these things, or feels a little bit taken back that he would still be trying to do something nice for her even after 30 years of distance, when he tried to give her good advice before and she didn't follow it through. But yet now here he is, and he's still just as adamant about helping her as he was back then, even though they haven't been in contact at all. But I think that that's just the nature of Rocky. And I think also what it is, and this isn't really expressed in the movie, it's just kind of my personal perspective, is that Rocky really wants to feel, I think like many of us feel, he just wants to feel useful. He wants to feel like he's doing something for somebody. He wants to feel like he's needed to some degree, because with Adrian gone and his son has moved out of the house and he has kind of an estranged relationship with his son, he still has Paulie around, but Paulie is Paulie. And I think what Rocky really wants to do, I think that's what the idea of the restaurant is. And I think that's also what him helping Marie is really about, is that he just wants to feel like he's doing something good for somebody. He wants to fix the light in front of her apartment building. He wants to offer her a job. He wants to do something nice for somebody in order to just, well, make their life better, yes, but also to just feel like he's needed, to feel like even in his older age that there is still value there. And of course there is, but it's hard to kind of accept that about yourself when you are past your prime. And so we have that storyline going on, and then we also have the story with Rocky's son. Now, his son is played by Milo Ventimiglia, who I know best from the TV show Heroes, because that came out just about the same time as Rocky Balboa, Peter Petrelli, if anybody remembers that show. The first season is incredible. By the way, if anyone ever wants to watch Heroes, it's a show about people that get superpowers, but this is like way before the huge superhero movie boom. This is like 2006. It's great. The first season is so good, but then the show gets terrible, so kind of watch it at your own risk. But I do highly recommend watching at least the first season, and Milo Ventimiglia is great in it. That has nothing to do with this movie. It's just every time I see him, I just think of Heroes. But he's pretty good as Rocky's son here, and he has a corporate job now, but there is a distance between him and Rocky where he's really kind of feeling like he's living in Rocky's shadow, where everything he does, everybody that he talks to, his friends at work, his boss, they all just want to see Rocky and talk about Rocky, and he's in the bar, and something about Rocky is on the television, and all of his friends are like, hey, and everyone in the bar is like, hey, and it's just he has not managed to carve out an identity for himself, and he feels a little bit bitter about it, a little bit ashamed in a way, because he does see his father's age and the fact that his dad still wants to box and all that happens in the movie. Like he's like, if you look like a failure, then that reflects on me, and everything that you do reflects on me. And it's like, I just am not my own person. And that leads to the speech that Rocky gives him somewhere around the middle of the movie. And I honestly do think that this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, motivational speech in any movie ever. A moment where his son is basically blaming Rocky for the life that he has and living in his shadow and everything. And Rocky starts talking about the reality of the world, that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. And I think this is a very important speech because I think that it rings true, and I think that that's why it resonates with so many people, and so many people use it in their different workout edits or whatever it is, because it talks about how difficult the world is and how much people are going to try to put you down no matter what, or how much good you do, or how much you try to succeed, how hard you work towards your goals. There's always going to be people sticking a finger in their face and telling you that you're no good, telling you that you can't do it, putting you down, comparing you to other people. It's never ending. And all you can really do is stay true to yourself and try your hardest to achieve what you want to. And that means not making yourself a victim. And this is one of the most important things when it comes to discipline, motivation, self-help, all that kind of stuff, is that you don't view yourself as a victim of circumstance. You don't view, even if it's moderately true, you don't view yourself as I'm doing shitty because of this person or this circumstance or that circumstance. Is like, you want to view yourself in a way where you do have power and that you do have the ability to change things and the ability to influence things. Because if you constantly view yourself as a victim, you're always going to be able to blame something for your shortcomings instead of looking at what you can do to do better. And it's seriously one of the hardest things to overcome that I've found, and that I feel like a lot of people find when they're trying to, move through depression or whatever the case may be, is like, it's very, very easy and comforting to look at yourself like, I'm the victim and it's everybody else's fault, and I'm here because of them or him or her or whatever. But to be able to take those beatings and, take it with stride and pick yourself back up afterwards, and to believe that there is power within you, and to believe that you still can accomplish things no matter what. It's like, if you don't have I don't even want to say motivation. If you don't have that discipline within yourself, to just pick yourself up after getting hit and acknowledge the fact that you're gonna get hit over and over and over again.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
And that's what life is. Life is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a struggle. Everybody has different factors that are holding them back. But the only thing you can control is how you deal with it, which is very difficult to do. And I'm not diminishing that. But what I love about this speech is how it rings true, and shifting the mindset from blaming others to rising yourself up, picking yourself up, believing that you can stand up one more time, no matter how hard you get hit. that you can grow thick skin, that you can take the damage, that you can take the abuse, and it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you know who you are, you know what you want, and you can achieve that next thing. Doesn't matter what anybody else says. Fuck everyone else. Fuck everything else. That cowards blame other people and champions pick themselves up.
Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hit.
So when it comes to the boxing in this movie, Rocky decides that he does want to fight again, not necessarily in big arenas or championships. He just wants to do something local. He just wants to keep doing it because it's something that he loves, but he's not looking for fame or publicity or big heavyweight title matches or anything like that. He really just wants to do things local. But as soon as they hear that he's interested again, and as well, the current heavyweight champion, which is a character named Mason Dixon in this movie, they do like a simulation of like who would win. Would it be Rocky Balboa in his prime, the greatest boxer of all time in this fictional universe, or would it be the current heavyweight champion, Mason Dixon? And they do this kind of like simulated, animation of like what both characters would do in their fighting styles and who would actually come out on top. And a lot of people are leaning towards Rocky. And so that sparks the idea of having the current heavyweight champion fight Rocky as sort of like an exhibition match, just to kind of give a little bit of resolution to this theory of who would actually win, who would have actually won. Mason gets a little bit of characterization, but he doesn't get a ton. Mostly he feels kind of insecure about the idea that Rocky would be a better boxer than he is, but he's not an outright rival. Like he's not an over-the-top cartoony supervillain character like Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago. Like he's pretty humanized, maybe a little bit of like an egotistical person, but he doesn't overdo it. So basically he feels a lot more like a more realistic opponent that somebody would face rather than a movie character. And I suppose that's good, although I do wish there was a little bit more characterization from him throughout the course of the movie, but it doesn't really matter. All you really need to know is that, yes, he is the current heavyweight champion, and Rocky's going to fight him. And once again, similar to the original film, this is not about winning the fight. It's about going all the way and proving that you do still have some worth and some value within you, that this is something that you genuinely love doing. Rocky genuinely loves being in the ring, and that's what he wants to do here. And one thing that I think is funny is that there's a cameo of Mike Tyson watching the fight between Rocky and Mason, and it's kind of ironic because how this fight goes is sort of how everybody wished the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul would go. Not that Jake was like a champion or anything, but it was like, you have this world-renowned, one of the greatest boxers, if not the greatest boxer of all time, now in his older age, coming back to fight a younger fighter. And in real life, everybody wanted to see Mike Tyson go as hard as he possibly could and put Jake down, and he didn't. And then in this fictional Rocky fight, Rocky is the older boxer coming out of retirement, fighting a much younger fighter, and he just goes as hard as he possibly can, putting in as much work and effort to go through every single round and every single fight and go the distance. And it's sort of just, I don't know, it's just ironic now in modern day where it's like, man, like how this fight goes is how everybody wished the actual Mike Tyson fight went. And that's the whole thing. Like I said, once again, this isn't about Rocky winning. This is about Rocky keeping up and going through the entire fight round by round, and it does go all the way to the final round. He continues to the best of his ability. The training montage in this film is not as great, but I do like how it's very basic stuff. And to bookend the franchise, this film does end very similarly to the original, where after the fight, Rocky is happy, he's good to go, he's with his son, he's with Paulie, he talks to Marie, he walks out happy, and it's up to the judges to try to decide who actually won the fight. And as Rocky is walking out, they announce Mason as the winner, but it doesn't matter because Rocky did exactly what he wanted to do, similarly to the original, kind of bringing this story full circle. And the final scene of Rocky Balboa is him visiting the grave of Adrian once again, saying that we did it. And yes, it does kind of pull on the nostalgia, but it works, and it works really well, and it makes sense for the character. It's not, I don't feel like it's there just to be a recreated line, because that is a pet peeve of mine when people recreate lines in sequels just to kind of call back to an original. But if the line actually genuinely makes sense in the scene, I'm totally fine with it. And here, there is sort of that weight to it, because Adrian was the person that Rocky wanted to see immediately after he made it through all the rounds in the original. So after he made it through this fight, going to see Adrian's grave and ending it with her, I think is a very fitting poetic end to the series and the franchise. And there would be spin-offs later on, an actual legacy sequel with Creed. And I do really like the Creed movies, Creed 1 and 2 especially. Creed 3 didn't have Rocky in it, but it was still a really, really good movie. But as far as the journey of Rocky as the main character, this is where it draws to a close. And the Creed movies won't even come out for like another 9 years after this film. So it's interesting, just the different gaps of time. And then Rocky would truly be like that further mentor figure to Apollo Creed's son, again, making everything kind of come full circle. But for the journey of Rocky himself, Rocky Balboa as a character, his boxing journey, this being his final fight, and going out on the note that he goes out in, I think that it's pretty fantastic. I think it works really, really well. And I've always been a very big fan of this film ever since it came out. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And every time I watch it, I appreciate it a little bit more. There are some negatives for me. Like I said, the final fight, they do this thing where they film it in a way where it's almost as if you're actually watching the pay-per-view. And then they also do a lot of quick cuts, which I hate. So like, I am a little bit annoyed by the way that the final fight is filmed, but I think that the emotion that's going into it, I think, does pay off. And really the best part of the movie is everything leading up to it. It's Rocky figuring out, you know, what his value still is to the world, reflecting on the past, having these nostalgic moments, but also giving this motivation to his son, explaining to him that, you know, you have to make these decisions for yourself and you can't be blaming other people the entire way. You're just going to end up miserable, and that you have to find something within yourself that's worth getting up for. You have to find something within yourself that's worth fighting for. And one of the reasons I really wanted to do the Rocky series as a series of videos is because I do think that we all need that extra motivation. Yeah, it is kind of like as a joke, like, oh, the winter training arc, so let's do, you know, the Rocky series for training. But I don't know. I want to try to give as much motivation to you guys as I possibly can. Like, we're here for entertainment, and I like to do things that are silly. I exaggerate all the time. Most of the things I do are I'm just trying to make you guys laugh or give you guys entertainment. But I also want to help motivate you guys along the way, because there is a lot of negativity out there. You know, there's a lot of horrible people saying horrible things all the time. It seems like everybody hates each other. The internet is a cesspool now. Internet used to be so much fun. It used to be a place of escape, a place for cat memes. And now it's just different pockets of people all hating each other and trying to make each other mad and, you know, poke fun at each other all the time. And, you know, the world is in a terrible place as well. And so I think that the only thing that you really can do is work as hard as you can to try to achieve the things that you want in life, while all the chaos happens around you. You can't necessarily change or fix all the chaos, but you can press forward as much as you can with your own life to just try to achieve the things that you want to, and just try to be a better person as time goes on. And one thing I love about the Rocky series too, not just because it's good training motivation, is because Rocky is a good person and he tries to do good. And he's done bad things in his past, but he always regretted it, and he always tried to do better over time. He always did everything that he could to try to give Adrian a better life. He continued to be friends with a guy like Paulie who, you know, I think he helped Paulie become a better person over time. And what we need in times like this are people that are strong, that are capable, that are disciplined, that don't blame other people, but are also kind-hearted. And that's what Rocky is to me. And maybe if we could all just be a little bit more like Rocky from time to time, push ourselves, work really hard to achieve something, have that passion within us, and also just try to be a little bit better. You know, just try. Self-improvement is never ending. And that's what Rocky represents to me. So on that note, thanks for watching this review series, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, coming along with this journey with me. And I hope that your winter training arc is going well. And just like I said, the training arc is not going to end after winter. It is a lifelong pursuit. I'm working on it myself, working through my issues. And I hope that you and I, all of us, get out there and kick some ass. So Let me know what you think of Rocky Balboa down below. If it's your favorite film in the Rocky franchise, if you liked it, if you don't really like it, whatever your comments are. Thank you again, guys. Give the video a like and comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon and channel memberships. Even $1 a month goes a long way. I would really appreciate it. But even if not, I hope you enjoyed the video anyways. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.